Hey everyone, it's a wonderful evening for sitting and enjoying the fabric that I bought in Egypt, which some of you know to do a burn test, and I did know about burn tests, but I didn't feel comfortable doing one in the shop, and I should have, even though I kind of knew what the result was going to be. Yes, it's actually polyester, not Egyptian cotton, but I expected that when I bought it. What I really bought it for was the embroidery, which is quite different than what you can get here, which is really what I wanted. And what it's going to be is the inspiration for an event we have coming up next May, which we're super excited about. So I'm just sitting here with my fabric and some books. It says 19th century fashion. And what we're gonna do is the Belle Epoch en Plein Air event. And we are so excited about this. It's a chance to bring costumers and painters together at the Chateau, and the painters will be en plein air, so doing their artwork out on the Chateau grounds and in the town environs. And costumers are invited to come and share their work with the artists. So they can be amused, they can be enjoying a nice picnic on the lawn, just sharing with their community. But we are so excited to launch the Belle Epoch en Plein Air event coming in May 2023, and we really hope that some of you will be able to join us. I came out to hang some laundry and I see something very exciting instead.
Yeah?
What's going on, my love?
Well, I decided I needed some drawings of the chateau for things, so I'm starting. I need a little work.
Look at that.
Yeah. Just want to give. It's for a couple of projects that I've got in mind, so I just needed some sketches. So
I am very excited that you're drawing again.
Yeah.
It feels like you haven't had time or space to do that in quite some time.
No, I mean, being on the boat in Egypt certainly gave me some relaxed time to be able to sketch again, and I did do a few sketches whilst I was on the boat. But
I don't think we gave everyone a close-up of Abdul on the last video.
No, so yeah, that was the drawing I had done of Abdul.
Isn't that lovely? It really captures his spirit, I think.
He was just having the time of his life when he was drumming away,
loved singing,
dancing, and yeah. And this fella was, well, we called him the Egyptian Vincent Price because he had these amazing eyes. He was. We only had him for a short time. He was a boat driver that took us out to one of the temples, but managed to snap a little shot of him and do the piece. So yeah, really exciting. And yeah, I think there was a brief glimpse of the camel as well,
which I think is just fabulous.
Yeah, he had a lot of personalities. I'm working away on some sketches.
I am setting off making some bed skirts. I've done some calculations, so our king beds are 200 long by 180 wide in centimeters, and so that total width around, so 1, 2, 3 sides, is going to be 580 centimeters. So if I want to build in a 2.5 times fullness, so it's nice and ruffly along the bottom, then I'm going to need 1450 centimeters. My drop to the floor is 30 centimeters, and I can get 3 widths of 30 centimeters out of the fabric, which is 134 centimeters wide. So that's my total drop length to work with, which will be lots. So if I can get 3 drops out of 1 width of material, then I can divide my total length by 3, and that means that I'll need about 5 meters of material split in 3, because it's close to a total of 15 meters. Is everybody with me so far? And that just makes 1 bed skirt, so hopefully that works out. I've got lots of this really crisp white material to work with, and so the grain will actually run this way, so because that's the width of the material. So we're going to give this a try. That is close to 15 meters of bed skirt material. So it's all been hemmed and edged, and what I'm going to do now is mark the drop length, which is conveniently 30 centimeters, the size of my square. It's actually just a little bit beyond that, so I'm actually want it to be just short of 30 centimeters, so that doesn't quite touch the floor, maybe like a ½ inch off the floor a little bit. I'll mark that out using my trusty chalk pen and mark that all 15 meters. And then we will go to the next step. Now comes the fun part. My lovely machine comes with a ruffler, for which I need the instruction booklet, which I still have. And the instruction booklet comes with a handy dose of casual sexism. And I just want to say for the record, it's okay. Everyone can sew. Anyway, so I need to figure out which knobs to adjust, which I think is one of these, and maybe up here as well. There's some settings on top, you see right there. Yep, settings there. So I'll need to adjust those. And I've cut myself 25 centimeters of lining, and hopefully I can ruffle that down to 10 centimeters, because that would be my 2.5 times width, right? 10 centimeters times 2.5 is 25. So here's hoping. There we are. That's the ruffled bit. It's actually going pretty well, I think. I've got my quilting square here. I've wavered a bit going up and down, so I'll have to be careful feeding the material through. But all in all, since 10 centimeters is 4 inches, once I started ruffling, I actually think it's pretty close to what I want. I wasn't actually expecting that on my first try. I know I'm doing this the slow way in some ways, but anyways, I know I've marked my drop line here. I want my feed into the ruffler is 5/8. I'm going to give it an extra 1/8 of an inch just because I want the stitch line to be just above eventually what my final stitch line would be when I add it to the deck, because I just want the ruffles done just inside. So hopefully that extra 1/8 of an inch will do it. Which means I'm now going to mark 3/4 of an inch up here, and then I am going to serge trim that, and then I will use this little bit to add on to make an edge around the decking, and that will make sense in a second. We are ruffled, and I've used the excess material to put a flat edging back on so that I can attach the deck to this and not the ruffles. That way when this curves over the edge of the bed like this, you've got a continuity of material as opposed to a change of material. So it's just a little extra detail. It's the moment of truth. Let's see if my bed skirt fits. Got the corner here. I'll tuck that on there nicely. There we go. Okay, are we liking the length? Length is looking great. What do you think, sweetheart? Do you think we did a good job? It's looking ruffly. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm getting the upstairs bedrooms ready for our writing guests for our November writing retreat, which is very exciting. So I need to get the Balsam Suite and La Tour and de Terrasse all ready for guests this week. and that's going to involve moving around a few pieces. I also want to make the petite chambre into an extra writing space or office space, which I might also use as my sewing room over the winter. So a little bit moving around. Here we go. Balsam Suite is in a reasonable state. Obviously, I need to make the bed. I need to bring the desk from upstairs, one of my sewing desks, down and set it up in here so that there's a nice office space.
So, these ugly things coming down?
These ugly things are coming down. We can do better than this.
Very much.
Now it's time to make a set of curtains for this bathroom for the Balsam Suite. You know, not that there's a real problem with privacy, but you know, makes people feel more secure. So it used to be that the curtains hung from up there, but I don't really see the need for that. We could just keep letting the light in, because I think most people would feel secure if the curtains were a little bit above eye level. So I think we could put them here and still not interfere with the mechanism that holds the window open, like so. Choo-choo. It's important to make the choo-choo noise. So there. So I think we can do that and have the bars in place and have curtains that hang down from there to the bottom of that window. Do you think? Let's give it a try. I'm up in my sewing room trying to finish off the curtains for the Balsam Suite bathroom, and I'm working with the same material that I used for the bed skirt, and it's just ever so slightly off-white. So I am trying to decide between these laces that I have that are mostly left over from making the Venice costumes. So I think that's slightly creamier, and the rest of them are definitely whiter. So I think I'm gonna go with the cream to attach it on the bottom here and just add a little detail. I think that's what we'll go with. Other than that, it's a fairly simple curtain. Just doing really simple hems around the outside just to hold everything in place, make sure it doesn't fray. Really simple pocket at the top to run the cord through, and that'll be it.
There you go.
Sweet stuff.
Yeah, those are pretty easy. If you wish to look out, you still can.
Yep. Otherwise, privacy ensured. I think we're getting there. I've got the bed made up, and we've set up a little seating vignette in the corner along with the desk, trying to use the rug to pull those together. And now I'm just futzing about with a little bit of writer inspo, trying to figure out what the writers need. I figure something resembling a place to put their pens and bits of paper. A little bit of Jane Austen. Steve, I might be done futzing with the furniture.
Wow, you've been working hard in here.
I've been moving stuff around a lot. Dexter, out of the room. Dexter, out you go.
Go on, bud.
Good boy. Good boy.
No, I think this looks amazing. I mean, I think there's enough space for everything. There's places for people to work, places for people to sleep. Looks ideal.
Awesome. We're starting to tidy up the petite chambre. As you can see, we moved out one of the beds. We're thinking we'd leave one of the beds here as a day bed and put a desk against the wall for people to work at, just so there's a separate working space.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think they make it comfortable for people so that if they want to sit at a desk and be formal, and great. If not, they can sort of lounge around on a day bed.
Have a little
I think
nappy
that makes-
spot, a little relaxing spot,
Yeah.
daydreaming spot.
Yeah, and somewhere different from their room.
Yeah,
So if they don't want to spend all the days in their
yeah, if they need a
wonderful
extra
suites.
change of environment,
those beautiful suites that they're going to be
right?
staying in, then they've got somewhere else they can escape
Yeah.
to.
With a pretty good view up the hill. Well, what do I see in our little drawing room? I mean, writing room. I mean, what's happening over here? Oh, you found more little tchotchkes we can put out. Oh, that's pretty. Look at those guys.
Yeah.
And you are clearly still inspired by Egypt.
Yep. Yeah. Well, this actually is a piece that I bought last time I was in Egypt, so 20 odd years ago. But I quite like it as a sculptural piece, so I thought I'd give it a shot.
Nice. And you're enjoying the light in here, clearly.
The light is awesome in here. This room turned out really good, actually. I think
Yeah.
it's inspiring. We're trying to bring some international flair as far as the details and stuff, but yeah, hopefully people will enjoy using this room.
Yeah, I hope so. It's really nice morning light, so you have a choice now between the morning and the afternoon.
And you can't beat that view.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful green right up the fields.
Look at that. Lovely. Good
So-
day. I have to say that some days my chores feel particularly odd in that today I'm cleaning the tower. I'm actually going to vacuum out a 16th century staircase. Like that just feels weird. I don't really know why, but that's my chore today, so here we go. The tools one needs for said task are, of course, a shop vac and a very long extension cord, because, you know, it's a big tower. I want to say thanks to everybody who left a comment on our Egypt videos. Whether you loved watching our travels or you really wanted to see us get back to this particularly glamorous chateau life, we really appreciate you taking the time to comment. But why do I need to clean the tower, she asks. I mean, there's a couple of cobwebs, it's not that bad. It's fly season, people. That's a lot of little flies. It's not nearly as bad as last year, fortunately, but yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I think I'm about halfway there. I've just reached the first mezzanine level, so that wasn't too bad. Just a little bit further to go. Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Really need to get around to cleaning those windows, don't you think? Yep, that needs to happen. Anyway, task for today is done.
So I've had a few people comment on our vlog asking whether I can explain how I managed to get the wallpaper for Stephanie's bathroom done. For those of you who don't follow Stephanie Jarvis's vlog, The Chateau Diaries, her father was a fantastic painter, and they had decided that they wanted to take one of his paintings and make it into wallpaper and do one of the bathrooms downstairs in this wallpaper. Larger than life, or at least life size with the characters. And so they asked me whether I could step in and work on it. If you want to see how it looks, you know, I'll put a link up here for that you can see her vlog and see the results of it. It looks amazing. So anyway, let me show you how I did it. It was a relatively tricky, well, it was a tricky problem. Biggest problem, of course, is that the painting is vertical. And of course, we needed something that would go around the walls, so it needed to be on a horizontal format. The painting that they chose, however, was this one. And this painting, it's absolutely beautiful. And the nice thing about it is it almost is cut in half from top to bottom. It's got a series of characters that are built in here, and then another series of characters that are below. So what I was able to do was actually cut these pieces out and then create one long piece by moving the characters up. Of course, the first major thing that needed to happen was for me to photograph the painting. There's that saying in graphic design that crap in, crap out. So in other words, the better the photographs that I had to work with, the better the results were going to be in the end. And particularly because this needed to be scaled a lot in order to get it big enough to fit the walls. I had to be sure that the photos that I took were really, really good. So I took my good old trusty Nikon out with me when I was up at Lalonde, probably last year now, I guess, or earlier this year. And not only did I photograph the painting full, but I also went and photographed all the tiny details as well. So some of the photos are just focused in on the individual elements of the painting. So the castle I knew was going to be a big part of it. The people obviously were important, so I wanted to make sure that I would get close-ups of the people. You need to photograph this in as neutral a lighting as possible. So I used natural light in this one. I made sure that it was set up against a window, or the light was coming in from a window, because you want the color to be as flat as possible. So then what I basically did was, once I had all those photographs, I had to obviously take measurements of the bathroom and figure out what the layout was going to be. So I can show you here. It's a bit of an awkward bathroom. It's actually quite a small bathroom. So I had to get that layout right, and I had to obviously get these measurements right so that I knew what I was working with. So you can see this was the file that I ended up providing in the end, which has all of the elements put in and the separation of what goes on what wall. This way, when it gets printed, we actually printed larger, but you could see that it would work within the space that was available to us in the bathroom. I took all those photographs and started building what's called a build file in Adobe Illustrator. Essentially what I did was take pieces apart and then put them back together in an order that worked for this bathroom. So for example, I took the background out, all the red in the sky. I took the different elements, like the castle became one piece, the characters became one piece, and so on and so forth. And essentially what I did was just measure everything up, make sure that the characters are all consistent in size, and then I rearranged things so that I could create the frieze, or the long painting based out of the artwork. I knew that I could use the castle as sort of a central piece, and then I had the sets of characters, the ones that were above and below, on either side of the castle. And then it was just a matter of playing with the different elements. The other trick to it is to find those little pieces that you can stick in, like trees or animals, or even bits of color, so that it looks like it's consistent. A lot of times what will let people down with this kind of project is, if you start looking close, of course, because this is being blown up so big, you're going to be able to see all the tiny little details. So it's important to go through it piece by piece and section by section and make sure that it looks like it's cohesive across the whole board. If there's a line that's not cut properly, or a character that's just missing a limb, or something's not working, then it very easily becomes obvious that something's not right. So I spent a lot of time making sure that all of the individual pieces would work, and then I brought it all together, added in the red sky in the background because I wanted to be able to do that on the ceiling, and moved all the elements around that I could to make it work. It's not obviously 100% accurate to the painting. I certainly moved a few elements around in order to make it work better as an elongated piece. But the essence and the idea, or the intention behind the painting, remains, and that's really important. I was able then to take the photos that I had done once I built the spread, and then I was able to upsize it. So the photos, as I say, I made sure that they're really high resolution photographs that I used to begin with. I made it as large as I possibly could based on the file size. And then once I got the layout put together, I upscaled it. Essentially a calculation that you're doing as you're scaling things up to make sure that the quality stays as clean as possible. With all these sorts of things, there's no way of making it perfect. You know, when we're talking a character that's painted that's probably about that high, and it's suddenly now going to be, you know, 7 foot tall or 6 foot tall, there's going to be a certain amount of loss of detail. Fortunately with this one, we didn't actually lose that much detail. You know, in fact, you start to really see the brush strokes when it gets up nice and big. If you see it in person, it really does come across that way. So yeah, and it was just a matter of getting that scale correct. And then, you know, fortunately, I think it was Philip or Stephanie found a really good printer in the UK that was able to take the file. I was really happy with the way that the colors produced. The printer did an excellent job of getting the color. I was so excited to see it the first time when it was up. It almost exceeded expectations for me. You know, I was really glad that both Stephanie and particularly Jerry were really excited to see it as well. And you know, it was something that I really enjoyed doing. I'm so happy that they felt confident and they wanted to bring me into the process, and I'm always excited to provide them with something that they can that will always live on in their chateau and you know, have that emotional connection that this one did. So there we go. That's basically how I did it. I just took the painting, best photos that I could, rearranged them so that they would work out in the layout, and made them as big as I possibly could so that it would reproduce. And that's basically the process to do the wallpaper.